What's up, Bills Mafia? So how did the Buffalo Bills defense do in 2023? Well, I got that answer for you next. But before we get to that, let's get to that intro.
This is PZ Music.
Welcome to the Mafia Sports Report. I am Tommy. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because I always forget to tell you. What up, Bills Mafia? Free agency is about to begin very, very soon. And boy, do we need help, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because we got a lot of guys that are going bye-bye. So we got a lot of holes to fill this coming offseason. Brandon Beane, you got your plate full, my friend. So hopefully you can figure it out with the, especially with the salary cap being where it's at. In the red, that is. Not good. Not a good place where you want to be. But Brandon Beane has always been good at finding a way to get back into the green, and I expect him to do that this offseason as well. So let's get this thing started. Once again, shout out to Bills Wire for creating this article. All right, let's see what grades they got for the Buffalo Bills defense of 2023. Defensive tackles, B-. Ed Oliver careers the group heavily here. And I think they meant Ed Oliver carries the group heavily here. He is cementing himself amongst the NFL's best interior defenders and made the Bills' decision to extend him look like a smart one. Aside from Matt, this group left plenty to be desired. Depth options never really stood out, and the other big names in the middle with Oliver, namely Jordan Phillips and Daquan Jones, struggles with injuries. Jones played well before he was sidelined, but didn't regain his great form. That injury, torn pec, man, that was a killer because I thought Daquan Jones was having a hell of a start to the 2023 season. But unfortunately, injuries happen. That London trip was a disaster, total disaster. We lost Matt Milano for the year, Daquan Jones basically for the year. Let's just call it what it is, right? Even when Daquan Jones came back, it was towards the tail end of the season, and he wasn't the Daquan Jones we saw early on in the season, or the Daquan Jones that we know he could be. And that's because he was still trying to get his way back into football shape, basically. That knocked that rust off. And it sucks he's a free agent this year. Now, will he come back to Buffalo? Who knows? We'll see if Brandon Beane wants to pay up, if he's willing to take a hometown discount to come back to Buffalo, because I would sure love for him to be on that line with Ed Oliver. But if he's not, well, like I said, Brandon Beane has to find somebody that's good enough replacement that can fill the shoes of Daquan Jones. But yeah, man, Jordan Phillips, who, I love what Jordan Phillips brings to this team. I love, the fact that, he's a good depth guy to have, but problem was this year, he kind of showed his age. The injuries are just piling up through his career, and I think he's probably going to retire. He said he was on the fence as far as retirement goes. That's never a good sign from a player. That usually means they're really, they're thinking about probably retiring at the, and maybe he should, considering all the injuries he's been battling for the past, who knows how many years now. So, obviously he didn't step up because of that. Shaq Lawson, I thought, played okay. Though he's an edge. Sorry, but either way, he won't be back either. But yeah, man, just not a lot going on there. Brandon Beane, like I said, has his hands full there. Plate full, that is. So let's get to the next one. All right. Defensive ends. Here we go. And I just mentioned Shaq Lawson. The positive, what are they giving him? Sorry. Defensive ends are given a B. So the defensive end. Okay. The positive play for the Bills pass rush in 2023 came from some very unlikely sources. Leonard Floyd was a late offseason addition. a year ago and proved to be a smart one. He led the Buffalo Bills in sacks with 10.5. The problem is he might be one and done with the Bills thanks to his production. Along with Floyd, Gregory Rousseau played well early in the year, but then his play seemed to plateau. He did seem to manage to have 55 quarterback pressures, second best on the team. AJ Epinesa similarly had spots of good and other spots of average play. All three of these guys did make up for Von Miller, though. The future Hall of Famer failed to put up one sack after returning from his knee injury. Yeah, man, he just never. We'll start with Von. Von never got back to the Von we saw when we first signed him. He just, I gotta say this real quick too. As fans, a lot of us don't understand what these guys go through when they have these major injuries. We expect them to be machines, like robots, and just go right back out there and be who they once were. It's just not how it works. Sometimes it takes a little bit more time than others. Every player heals differently, but we also got to factor in the age, and that's his second ACL. I will say this though: this is his third season coming up in 2024. If Von Miller, because that's a lot of time now that he has to. Now he can go to, he'll have camp. He can go to more time to heal, all that good stuff. But if 2024 comes and he's still not producing, then that's going to wind up being a terrible signing from Brandon Beane. Now, if Von Miller could come out in 2024 and show what he showed early on when we first signed him, then then we got something there. If he could show us that 2022 Von Miller, then I would say it's still a good signing, but we'll see what happens with that. Now, AJ Epinesa, kudos to AJ Epinesa, man. He took a giant step forward this year. He knew what was on the table, and that was a contract, right? He knows that if he played well, there's going to be teams knocking on that door, with money in hand. So good for you, AJ Epinesa. You're going to get paid somewhere. I don't think it's going to be in Buffalo, but you will get paid somewhere. And I thought he produced very well this season. Shaq Lawson, who I talked about earlier, I think he might be back for a 1-year deal. I still think he produces well. He's a good depth guy. Why not bring him back for 1 year on a cheap deal? You guys got to remember, man, we don't have a lot of money in the bank. He's the perfect guy to come back for a hometown discount, play another year, get him on a year contract. So I don't mind. I thought Shaq Lawson showed spots where he did really, really well this year. So Gregory Rousseau, I thought he was going to have a much better season. He took a step forward, but it wasn't a giant step forward. He needs to start showing something now coming up in 2024. What would that be now? His third season, I believe, with the Buffalo Bills. So, he needs to start showing something now heading into his third season. I believe it's his third season, correct? I could be wrong on that one. Could be his fourth season. Let me pull that up real quick so I could be on the same page because I don't want to. So, he was drafted in 2021. So, 2021, 2022, 2023. So, it's actually his fourth season as a Buffalo Bill. So, Gregory Rousseau going into year 4, man. And your rookie contract's coming to an end soon. So, if you want to get paid, you got to show a little bit more than what you've been showing. So, that's that. So, man, we got to do better. We got to do better on the line and on the edge. And there's a lot of missing pieces right now that are going to free agency. So hopefully Brandon Beane can figure that out and get that going because we're yet to really, be a high, have guys that pressure a lot. Like Leonard Floyd was, by the way, I will say this about Leonard Floyd because I haven't talked about him. That was a great addition. I said to everybody when we signed him, that was a great addition. A lot of people were sleeping on Leonard Floyd. I'm like, why? Guy's averaging 9.5 sacks over the past 3 seasons. I don't care about his age. He hasn't shown any drop off from his age. Now, I will say in the tail end of the season, his sacks went down, but still to finish 10.5 sacks pretty damn good. I'll take that all day. So, but you know, I think he's going to wind up signing somewhere else. He earned it. He earned whatever contract he's going to get somewhere else, unless he comes back on a team-friendly deal, which I doubt will happen because this is his last payday. This is it. Because of his age, he's going to want to go get paid one more big payday, and it probably won't be here in Buffalo. But, yeah, I thought he played well too. But we just need more production, I guess is where I'm getting at. We need to get to the quarterback more often, especially guys like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. We just seem to never really pressure those guys. And if you cannot leave those guys back there, you know, with no pressure, just picking you apart, because that's what they'll do. That's what they'll do. You can get away with that with some bad quarterbacks, the Daniel Joneses of the world, right? Right. You know, the who else? Who else you gonna leave back there? You know, Ryan Tannehill. You know, guys like that aren't going to shred you to pieces. But against better quarterbacks, which we struggled against, especially in the playoffs, putting no pressure on them, that they're going to slice and dice you up every time. So I hope that Brandon Beane can find some in the draft, because that's where it's at, right? You got 10 draft picks. You stockpiled them up. So you use them wisely. And I do hope he does some trading up too as well to get the players he wants, because, man, we need all the help we can get, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we just don't have a lot of returning players. And we're going to be, and I'm sure I'm going to get to this soon, but as y'all know, Micah Hyde is probably retiring as well. So, all right, next up, linebackers, A-. Okay. Terrell Bernard was nothing short of a revelation for the Bills defense. Upon losing Tremaine Edmonds, it was thought that he would be a huge drop in production, but that simply wasn't the case. In fact, there was one when Bernard couldn't play in the postseason because of injury. Bernard had led the team with 143 tackles and added another 6.5 sacks and 6 takeaways. In the games Matt Milano was on the field, he continued to play at a ridiculously high rate too. There was concern again that Terrell Dodson being up into the lineup would hamper Buffalo's once Milano was injured, but it didn't as much. Dodson was taken off the field for passing downs at moments throughout the season. But regarding what he was asked to do, he did it all well. A lone blemish of sorts was Dorian Williams. The rookie played like a rookie. I agree. I got to say real quick too, Terrell Bernard, I did not see that coming. I'll be first to admit that. I was very, very concerned at middle linebacker heading into the 2023 season. And man, Bernard really shined. And that's one thing I am super grateful for Sean McDermott seeing that Bernard was the answer at middle linebacker and not Dotson. Because he made the right choice. And I got to say, too, that's not always the case when it comes to McDermott. So he did the right thing there. He made the right choice, and it showed on the field. Bernard's only going to get better. He's still very, very young. He's still learning. And Milano will be back. And you know, Milano, that's huge, too. That was a huge loss for us. So Milano and Bernard in the backfield, in the back there, linebackers, I trust them. I love them. I think they're a great duo, but we need more depth at linebacker. Dotson is just not the guy. Okay, he filled in okay, but you saw that we had to take him down on passing downs. He's not. That's just not good. That's not the best part of his game. He's more of a run defender. Pass defense, he's not very good, and that hurt us, especially in the playoffs when we lost Bernard. The Chiefs were just picking us apart, up the middle because of the linebacker problem. You know, we had to get A.J. Klein off the couch, with Dotson, who's already a player with, who has, just not a lot there, especially in pass protection. So, pass defense, that is. So, yeah. Anyways, next up, let's get to it. Secondary, B+. Losing the likes of Trey White would sink many teams, but not the Bills. Buffalo has shown an ability to really target defensive backs, perhaps because of Sean McDermott's past playing the position. The trade for Rasul Douglas turned out fantastic. If White returns to his potential, that's 2 number 1 corners and the depth options of Christian Benford and Dane Jackson. Dane Jackson's gone, by the way. They could both start for numerous teams in the NFL. Speaking of Jackson, is a pending free agent. Behind them, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer did show some signs of aging, but that was to be expected because of Hyde's neck injuries. This might be it for the duo. And it is. I really, truly believe it is. I think Micah Hyde is going to retire. His wife sent a thank you letter to Bills Mafia, for the time they had in Buffalo. So that just tells me right there, guys, that he's gone. He's going to retire. That's probably best for him. And, listen, it is what it is. When you guys are suffering neck injuries like that, back-to-back years, and he already had surgery before, not good. And, the fact that he said that he wasn't even sure if he was going to return this year when he was out a game or two, that's concerning. So the Bills have some work to do. I think Jordan Poyer comes back because he is on he still has 1 more year left. I don't think the Bills waive him. I think they need to find themselves a safety in the draft. I would love for them to bring back a Taylor Rapp for a 1-year deal if they can, if Rapp is willing to do so. He's a great depth guy. I just don't think DeMar Hamlin's the answer at safety. I love the dude. I just don't think he's ready. Christian Benford could be moved to safety, but I think it all depends what they're going to wind up doing with Trey White. I don't know. That right there is the biggest question mark going into the this offseason. When it comes to who is Brandon Beane going to cut to save some money on the cap, or whose contracts are going to, be restructured. Maybe Trey White doesn't get cut, but he reworks his deal out. Takes a pay cut. It's just, guys, back-to-back years with season-ending injuries is never good. So let's see what happens with Trey White. I just really feel like even if he comes back, what Trey White will we see? To start this season, I thought Trey White looked a lot better than when he came back originally from his ACL, right? It looked a lot better, but he still lost a step. You could kind of see he's lost a step, but he still was a number 1 on the team. But he just he wasn't the Trey of old. And now that he's coming off an Achilles injury, what Trey will we see now that he's had some serious injuries? That's the concern, when it comes to Trey White. So very interested to see what Brandon Beane does in regards to Trey White. All right, next up. Special teams, C. Terrible. I don't even know if I give it a C. Punter Sam Martin was not, by the way, real quick, on that grade on the secondary, B+, I'm good with. I would say B. I guess, Rasul Douglas was by the way, real quick, too, I didn't even talk about that. Rasul Douglas was a great trade. Thank you, Brandon Beane, because I was super concerned Brandon Beane was not going to make a trade at the trade deadline last season. He doesn't often trade. Very, very rare Beane trades for players. You don't mind trading our players away for picks, but he just doesn't do a lot of trades for players, especially in-season trades. He's a stickler with his draft picks. But Rasul Douglas, he finally pulled the trigger and he got himself a really, really good corner. You saw what Rasul Douglas did right when he became a Buffalo Bill. Interceptions, man. I mean, the guy's a ball hawk. That's what he does. So it was a great addition. I'm expecting them to do an extension on his deal. He has 1 more year left on this team, but I think they get a deal done where Rasul Douglas, you can go ahead and extend his contract. That will also clear up some cap space as well. So yeah, that was a great addition. Thank you, Brandon Beane, for understanding that this team needed some help in the corners in that department. So, all right, next up, let's get back to it. Special C, by the way, I don't know. C, is it really? I don't know. I would say D. Anyways, punter Sam Martin was not very good. His 39.9 net average ranked 27th in the NFL. So that's really bad, guys. He only had 24 punts inside the 20 as well. Regardless of the numbers Tyler Bass put up, his unfortunate miss in the postseason against the Kansas City Chiefs is really going to linger until next season. In terms of kick coverage, the Bills were essentially below average. Buffalo allowed 12.5 yards per punt return, good for 29th in the league. Kick coverage was at 22.4, 13th in the NFL. By the way, Smiley has to go. Terrible special teams coach, but he's not, because that's a Sean McDermott. It's one of Sean McDermott's boys. He's staying. And it's unfortunate because Smiley has done garbage since he's been here. And you know, McDermott preaches how, you know, important special teams is, and yet we're towards the bottom of the league in special teams. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I got to say, too, the Sam Martin situation. We paid Sam Martin and we paid Tyler Bass before the 2023 season. And it's looking like, especially for Sam Martin's deal, terrible signing. You could tell he's starting to show his age. And we can't have a punter punting like that, especially late in the season when we're in Buffalo playing, in bad conditions. 39.9 is terrible. That's a terrible average. Awful. 27th in the NFL. I mean, one of the worst. Listen, Buffalo Bills, you want to do something right, you bring back Matt Ariza in the offseason. You bring him back for camp, if he's willing to come back. And you have him compete against Sam Martin. Because I think he wins the job. I do. I think Sam Martin, and if it's not him, if it's not the punt god, Ariza, then bring in another punter, have him compete with Sam Martin. And that's it. And if he does better than Sam Martin, which I expect him to, then you get rid of Sam Martin. Now, as far as Tyler Bass goes, man, I'm a fan. I like Tyler Bass. I thought it was a great draft pick, but this season was not his best. And I don't give a fuck where that ball is placed. Right hash, left hash. You need to make your field goals. And missing field goals like that is unacceptable. And he missed the week before. Unacceptable. Extra points missed. I mean, you can't have that. Kicking out of bounds on kickoffs. It was a rough year for Tyler Bass. Listen, he's one player, boy, you better be fucking, this offseason, you better be fucking working out, kicking that fucking football all season. Get your shit right, because we can't have that mistake again, especially in the playoffs, because there is no makeup. There is no next week. You have another opportunity to kick a field goal. That's it. Should it have came down to a fucking field goal? No. Absolutely not. But it did. And we expect you to make it, and you didn't. So anyways, that is the defensive report card. So in a whole, I'm going to say the defense, I'm going to give them, because I got to say, the defense in the regular season kept this Bills team alive. Because the Bills offense for most of the season, or at least, about half of the season, halfway through the season, was not good. Was not good at all. So I'm going to say a B. I think a B is fair. I think they held it down for most of the season. They kept us in a lot of games. But there was also some moments where the Bills defense let us down in the regular season, when the offense did just enough to get us the lead, and the Bills defense just gave it right back up. So I'll stick with a B, but I understand if somebody wants to give it a C+, B-. But I'm gonna say they earned a B in my book. So anyways, guys, give me your comments. Tell me what you think. You think the Bills defense deserves a B grade? Do you think it's worse, better? What do you think? Anyways, guys, Bills Mafia, I love you. And as always, go Bills. I'm out of here. Peace.
And look at him go. He could go all the way. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 hey, hey.